Hey folks, welcome to a piece of CX. This week we're going to take a look at some of the updates that have landed in CXone dashboards as part of a 25.4 release. So recently on the channel, I did a 25.4 run through and talked about how dashboards are going to become more about real time and reports are going to be more about historical. So now that we've seen 25.4 applied to be used, we can now see what the impact of that is. And first, what we need to do is actually start in roles and permissions. So generally you see this whenever there's something brand new with NICE, it goes into roles and permissions so that it's not automatically turned on so that you don't get tripped up by it. So if I go into permissions, what you want to do is go down to dashboard, and now you have dashboard templates here. These are all new. These are reports coming up into dashboards. So historical, but in dashboards. I'm trying to get my head around it. We'll have a look at what it looks like as well. But you can turn these on just like you would your reports in the past. And they do various different things. Another little quick tip, if you are an interaction analytics user and have been using Topic AI, it has now moved from analytics into admin. So again, just launch Topic AI editor has now moved here. So that, if you had access to it on a role previously, that hasn't married through into admin. So if you suddenly see it disappear, don't panic. Just make sure your role and permission has that turned on. So let's have a look at what this looks like from a dashboard perspective, which I'm sure I have a dashboard on my... Nope, we'll just go straight to one. So there are a few things of note here. Firstly, we're now seeing the change to the interaction model and the agent contact state and agent states updates that I talked about as part of 25.2. I'll put a link to that video around about this point in the video as well. So we're starting to see more and more things come through. Firstly, there's been an accessibility update. These were pretty small texts in the past. They're bigger, and if they have long names, then they will smartly make themselves smaller. Don't know what that actually looks like yet. Let's see if we can make one. No, we can't make that one small enough to do it. There are some changes though. So agent list, for example, we now see working contacts. This does have an impact as well. If you're using metrics such as handled, and that was based off of the working state inbound. Well, now that's working contacts, but the handled metric doesn't appear to have taken that one through. But what you can see here is if I just click into this, this is the beauty of voice and digital coming together. We can see I'm on an SMS, I'm on a live chat, and I'm on an email, and I've got individual contact states with those as well to make life easier and understand what's going on there. And then we can drill into it this way. So you'll see anything that we used to say inbound or outbound now says working contacts. Some other changes here. Firstly, you're going to notice everything just says today. So this is part of that update where they're talking about how dashboards will be for the here and now. But this doesn't sit perfectly with me, because now it's saying if you want historical, you have to buy performance management, which admittedly is in a lot of the bundles, but the top end bundles with NICE. So if you had previously put time into creating metrics dashboards, now you've only got to have today's view, for example. Even KPI trends, this looks like a monthly view, but actually when you go into it, it says today only. This one is interesting. It says previous 90 days. So maybe that is excluded from that. Something else that has changed, and again, depending on how much effort you've put into updating your dashboards, you are probably going to have to revisit this as well. So a number of the dashboards, the metrics ones, had thresholding. You'll see here I've got things in blue. What we've previously had are two different color schemes for thresholds. On quality management based widgets, we have had blue is good, red is bad. On metrics based widgets, we've had green is good and red is bad and yellow is in between. So they've brought that all together now, but your previous thresholds will not have been applied across. So here we can see, we can go with just a simple red and blue. If you click the plus, then you can actually go to a 5 color scale in line with what you see with your behaviors. And we'll come back to those in a minute. However, what they have taken away, which was quite useful, was on previous thresholding, you could set a value. Whereas here, you've got to use a toggle. So if you really want to get accurate with a certain time, you might have to click on it and move it a little bit at a time. So a bit of dexterity needed there as well. What is interesting, though, is the reports widget. If we bring that in, it's going to end up down here, isn't it? We now have all of those reports that we were saying yes to previously. They will show in here. What we have here are pre-built reports, and you'll notice these look very similar to the pre-built reports in reporting. This is that evolution of the reporting and dashboard product from NICE. It feels a little bit counterintuitive versus what they've recently said of, well, dashboards are the here and now and reports are reports. Maybe it's because they're in a report section. But what we can do is we can go into one of these and have a look at them. So I'm going to go with Agent Insights. This would previously be a report. It would be a BI report, and it would run. Now it comes through as a dashboard, and I'm going to go last 90 days because it's a demo platform, and you never know how much data you're going to have. So these ones, we can go to 90 days. And we'll go like that, and we can have a look at this really quite cool looking widget that I was trying to remember just now. So we've got this as a dashboard, and this is pre-built. However, we could also click on it and do create as my report, and we can add other widgets to it. But first we need to create it. So I am going to call this testing. We click create, and now that is mine to play with. And then I can add widgets to it. So I've got the agent state summary, I've got the report widget, I've got quality management, I've got analytics, all of this kind of good stuff. Another new widget is this one, quality score. It's had a slight refresh. If we bring it down here, you're probably used to it looking like this, but if I go into the settings, then I can do it by agent, and we can do it by channel or evaluations. And we'll do last 90 days as well. Drag that out, make that look a bit bigger, and very similar to the evaluations by team widget. But here we can bring it through. The scoring is still not perfect on this one here for thresholds. When NICE made the move from percentages to absolute scoring to allow for negative scores, the quality thresholds are still out of 100%. So we've got a -30 here. I mean, it's probably going to be bad, but we've actually got no scale underneath 30. And it looks like actually our form is maybe scored out of 30 anyway. So I'm going to bring this down to 20, and we can change what that looks like. But on a per channel basis, per user basis, we can start to get a really good idea of what this looks like. Let's just ping into that and go with an evaluation view, see what that does. And we can have a look at that instead, what the variance is. So that's essentially taking evaluations by team and splitting it into slightly different views. This is a really interesting widget. If I just cancel out of there, no. Let's not do that. Let's click save and get rid of that and get a bit more real estate. So this is all of your behaviors going on a per interaction basis. You've got your average score ranges. It's a 0 to 10 scale. I've actually never seen this given from a metric perspective like this. Normally it's been in percentages if you look at, or a score out of 100 in interaction analytics. But here we can very quickly have a look at this. And if you've seen my demos on Interactions Hub, normally I'm setting all of these columns up myself. They do seem to be, yeah, we could do with some word wrap there, just so we can get a bit more real estate in here. Actually, if you have this on Interactions Hub, they have the icons for each of these behaviors as well, which is probably an easier way to display them. So maybe that's something that will come in a future release as well. But if you think about this, this is bringing all kinds of data in. I'm not sure channel number. I don't think that's a column we need to see, is it? Just get rid of that, hopefully. Probably don't need the interaction ID, but looks like we can click play and straight away it launches the player. So for click and ease, that's really easy. And we can flip that over as well to see the score instead of the smiley faces. So whatever works for you. Probably that it's a little bit less busy in fairness. So behaviors, not sure what metrics we've got this set up on. We've just got behavior score there. If I go into metrics, this has now been put into alphabetical order. It sounds really minor, but it's quite handy. You'll see now as well that we have our suite, because we have our combined voice and digital, our interaction, and then we have voice ACD underneath, and then we have digital up here. So just an evolution of dashboards there. Lots going on with them. Really interesting what's been done here. If I save that, let's have a look at some of the sharing options. What we haven't seen come through yet is the global filter, where you could set your settings across the entirety of the dash. That was due over summer, so I'm guessing it didn't happen in the end, but I can also do this as custom or all employees. And my assumption is that that will then appear in reports. So we go to my reports. I've got my reports here. I can favorite them. I can duplicate them. I can edit them. It says the original domain they were in, and then I can go and create another one. So we're going to have a look at agent session, for example. But you've got a button up here to allow you to decide when you want things to rerun. I'm going to do last 90 again to get a bit more data. So yeah, you decide when the historical report dashboards run. That's probably too many words to describe this feature. Let's have a look up here into projection mode. Do these reports run in projection mode is the question, or are they just dashboards? Let's have a look. Looks like it's only the traditional dashboard. So your significant changes here are that your dashboards are now a single day view in terms of paradigm, but you now have this new section, which you will have to go and permission on, called reports, which brings pre-built reports into your dashboarding solution. In theory, reducing the amount of effort, the amount of clicks, and also bringing a level of customization. Those BI reports and a number of the reports out of the box, you had what you were given, whereas now you can add various different metrics and things into them as well. So if you are managing data within CXone, probably a lot more insight that you can play with. But if this was added to your BU recently and you're wondering what happened to your metrics or what happened to your thresholds, there will be a slight learning curve and an adaptation involved there as well. Thank you very much for watching A Piece of CX.